Welcome to the American Business Podcast. I'm Kevin Deveci, your host. I'm welcoming you to episode 115. And we are in season 4. I'm excited to welcome you today on this Friday, today, December 19, 2025. Code of the day. As you know, we have a great partnership with missionstatements.com. And today's code is wisdom is knowing what to do next. Skill is knowing how to do it. Virtue is doing it, from Thomas Jefferson. Today's number is 2.7. November inflation rate in the US is 2.7%. Great. Well, before I invite our guests, I have some announcements to make, and I'll share some information with you, some updates about the American Business Podcast. As the American Business Podcast, the voice of American business is growing. We are having more partnerships and more visibility in the marketplace, of course, with your help and support, which we truly appreciate it. As you know, the American Business Podcast is now listed on IMDb database. So that basically gives us more flexibility and more visibility in the marketplace, while being with other productions on the IMDb database is a privilege, and that's the QR code. When you scan this QR code, it'll take you to our page on IMDb database, and you can see our page and you can rate us. We'll truly appreciate it. It is important to have you there in terms of having you and having your rating there. You'll have a chance to see our IMDb page. You can also rate us on IMDb. So we truly appreciate it. Please scan this QR code, take a moment and see our page for the American Business Podcast, and rate us and support us also on IMDb. We'll truly appreciate it, and it'll help us. It's going to be a huge help for us. Also, another update from us, from the American Business Podcast, is about our partnership. I'm happy to announce that now we have a partnership with Reddit. Many of you, I'm sure, are Reddit users. I'm a Reddit user. I use Reddit very often. And anytime I need a product update, feedback, any real feedback and information I need, I go to Reddit very often, pretty much daily basis. So now the American Business Podcast is partnering with Reddit, Reddit for Business. And we'll be happy to promote Reddit in the American Business Podcast. And you'll be hearing about Reddit in the American Business Podcast episodes from now on. So I'm happy to share this partnership with you, and I'll appreciate your support as well as we are promoting Reddit and Reddit for Business in the American Business Podcast. Great. Well, let's invite our guests to our virtual stage, and let's get the conversation started. All right, that's great. Hello, Brian. Welcome to the podcast.
Kevin, I am honored to be here. Thank you.
Well, pleasure is all mine. Thank you very much for being with us. How is your week going so far? Happy Friday.
This is amazing. Christmas is right around the corner. I have 2 young kids, so it's a magical time.
It definitely is. And where are you connecting from to the American Business Podcast?
I grew up in the Midwest, but I have happened to live in Oahu, Hawaii for the last 10 years.
Okay, well, that's really, really good. Well, actually, it's a pleasure to meet you in this podcast. I'm glad that you join us. So we are really curious about you and about your professional background. As you know, the American Business Podcast, the Voice of American Business, is an informative educational business podcast. And anytime we have a guest like yourself, an expert, a business leader, a professional in the American Business Podcast, we have a set of questions that we ask to learn from you. If that's okay, we can get started and we can cover those subjects that we love to learn from you and we love to get your take.
I'm ready, Kevin.
All right, let's fire up. Well, as a start, would you please introduce yourself and your organization to our listeners and to our viewers?
Sure. My name is Brian Sampson, and I own Plug Technologies. We founded this a few years ago to solve the labor shortage problem and great talent on the same time zone. So we're connecting talent from Latin America to US businesses.
Can you tell us about your career journey a little bit? How did you get started? How your career has unfolded over the years?
Sure. So I think there's a couple chapters. Grew up in the Midwest in Chicago and started right away into the world of staffing. So basically connecting people in the States, all over the country with big companies. That was my market. Then I moved to California, where I was in San Francisco and went to the in-house part. So before I was the external recruiter helping a variety of companies, then I moved to being the leader for HR and recruiting for a bunch of tech startups. So you hear about San Francisco and all the venture capital money flowing through. And as soon as that money hits the bank account, investors want that money to be spent because it's meant to help that company reach product market fit, get traction. And about 70% of that 70% of the funding in these companies is meant for labor. So that was my job. It was to find the talent, find the labor, a lot of engineering type of roles that I worked on. But the last 10 years for me has been entrepreneurship. I love being a founder, being a business owner, being an entrepreneur. And the core area that I've focused on is what we call nearshoring. So I'm sure a lot of your audience knows offshoring, where there's a big ocean in between and work is not on the same time zone. Nearshoring is really all about the Americas when it comes to the US. And we work all over Latin America, connecting talent with US companies. And that's what I've spent the last 10 years on. I had an opportunity to live in Argentina for a little while and see it firsthand. And I think there's just so much compatibility between Latin America and the US in ways that Latin America can help the US grow at a really, really incredible rate.
When you look at your day-to-day job, day-to-day work experience, what are the exciting and challenging parts of your work on daily basis?
Yeah, I think like any entrepreneur, especially in the services business, we are constantly tinkering to try to get supply and demand perfect. And it's almost impossible to do that. You either have not enough clients and too much capacity, or too much demand and not enough capacity. So, the services business, it doesn't matter if you're an accounting firm or a marketing firm or a staffing firm. It's very similar to a manufacturing company that has a factory. And do we have enough orders, too many orders? So that is the constant challenge. And even though we've scaled to over 100 people, it's the same challenge it was the first day as it is today, trying to figure out supply and demand.
Yes, finding that delicate balance.
Yes.
That is the challenge. Absolutely, it makes a lot of sense. Well, you actually talk about your industry a little bit, and you actually told us about it. Can you also talk more about the state of outsourcing industry. How do you see the market? How do you see the industry in general? What are the challenges and opportunities as you are seeing nowadays
Yeah,
in the outsourcing industry?
yeah. I'll frame this with the U.S. as the center. So for gosh, I mean, way before even the first tech boom and bust in 2000, 2001, 2, India was where a lot of white collar work was being outsourced. And in parallel, China became the factory of the world. So you had services to India, manufacturing to China. And that's really, those are two very mature, very dominant countries. But geopolitics matters when it comes to outsourcing as well. And over, I'd say 15, 20 years ago, Latin America started to gain a lot of momentum. And it was really Mexico for manufacturing. So a lot of auto manufacturers started to look at Mexico. Toyota, for example, has a huge presence there. And it makes it a lot easier to move parts. Instead of large container ships, it's railroads, and it's all pretty interconnected, and cheaper shipping and so forth. And the labor is actually pretty affordable as well. Now, on the services side, there are a few countries that have really emerged in Latin America, Mexico as well on the services side, but countries like Argentina that export a lot of services, especially IT, software developers, things like that. And as I mentioned, geopolitics, there's always things going on in the world, and there's winners and losers. For um, uh, I'd say most of the 2000s, Eastern Europe was a really exciting place for software development. Unfortunately, with the war, that's created some instability. So companies are mitigating risk, moving jobs, to other regions. And then you have other places like Africa, where you have really like an emergent continent, and you're really not sure if they're quite ready for the next step. But Latin America has really risen and taking a front row seat.
And it looks like the market that you are focusing on nowadays. That's what I'm understanding.
Yeah, Latin America is really where we're focused, and I'll add one more thing, Kevin. Because
Okay.
we hear about the politics matter, geopolitics matter, and different administrations care about different things. So right now in the Trump administration, there are countries that are doing very well and countries that aren't. So, for example, India and China, I think, are the Trump administration will say is less enthusiastic about them.
Mhm.
So um, there's obviously animosity with China, and then India has thrived for decades on the H-1B visa, exporting tech workers. As the cost of that has increased from 3,000 to 100,000, there's a lot of what we call legacy development work, maintenance work on software that I think is really now going to go to Latin America or back onshore with U.S. workers.
Mhm. Yes, absolutely. I mean, when it comes to outsourcing, very similar to international trade, the geopolitics are really important. So, well, let's talk about AI a little bit. That's a popular
Yeah,
subject in the American business podcasts. Our audience, our listeners, they love talking about AI and getting feedback and some thoughts about it. How do you see the impact of AI on business based on your professional observation and experience?
yeah, I love this topic. I love this question. Um, I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunity with AI, and everybody knows that. But I also think that we can be a little overzealous, where we're maybe cutting jobs before we've quite figured it out. And in the tech world, for example, AI can do a lot of coding, but it's a lot better at doing brand new coding than working with a large existing code base. So massive companies might use AI for brand new product development and to quickly accelerate time to market. But if you take a bank that has millions and millions of lines of code in their database and trying to use AI in that, it's going to be really challenging. And of course, there's hallucinations and things like that. So I'll say that the enthusiasm is correct, but it might not be at the level we all think it is. The second thing I'll add is we as Americans, we often and I say this in the nicest way, we often think that the sun is always shining on us, right? We're a very optimistic group of people. So when new things are developed, we think we're the only ones that have access to it. But the rest of the world also has access to AI. So it's important that we know that there's a lot of growth happening in the rest of the world through AI tools too. So we all have to embrace it and keep up with it.
You're an entrepreneur. You are also a business owner,
Mhm.
and you do, I'm sure, perform marketing in your business. What are the best marketing practices for the highest ROI nowadays?
Yeah, I think I've seen attention spans change quite a bit, since I remember growing up and being able to, I would have a TV with 3 channels. So if something was on, that's what we watched, right? And then during my lifetime, we had cable and then now Netflix and Amazon, and there's so much abundance that it can be exhausting even picking something to watch, let alone watching it. And where I'm going with this is I think it's even difficult for most people to watch a movie today without their second screen, their phone, right in front of them. So attention spans are much, much shorter. And that's something I've had to learn through marketing, my own companies, and recognizing that I have to be much more direct, much quicker to the point. And videos are great, but the videos have to achieve the goal in line with the attention span of my audience.
How do you define leadership, and what are the great leadership qualities from your point of view?
Yeah, I've been lucky to have had both. I've had great bosses and terrible bosses, and I think it's actually really important to have both because it shapes.
That's how
You know,
you learn, right?
that's how you learn. Um, I'll actually go way, way back to how I paid for college. Is I worked in a restaurant in the Midwest. And it was high volume, very busy. One of the like a typical McDonald's might earn a couple $1,000s a day in revenue. The restaurant that I was at, $20,000 every day. So it was really, really high volume but fast casual. So lots of moving parts, lots of team members working the line. And I remember kind of a tale of two different leaders. One would always catch you when you're doing the wrong thing, right? Like you made that sandwich incorrectly, or you bagged it incorrectly, or something. And then another leader would try to make it a point to catch you when you were doing something right. And he would say, "That's why," as in, "That's why you're so great." I caught you doing something great, caught you doing something right. And that really stuck with me because I think the default is we need to find issues and correct. But humans also want to be recognized for just doing the right thing, doing things correctly. So doing more of that as a leader is important for me.
Yes, leadership is a fascinating subject. As a matter of fact, last week we had a leadership guru in the American Business Podcast, Joseph Beauchamp, the Beauchamp team, and he joined. We talk about leadership, and that's his expertise. And he shared a lot of insights. What are the great qualities about a leader? How to be a great leader? How we can sharpen our leadership skills, and so on. So that's a subject that we need to visit very often as professionals.
Yes.
What I was saying was, especially this is being the end of the year almost, for us to think about our leadership skills, what we know, what we don't know, in the context of continuous improvement as professionals is critical. So I'm glad that you shared your insights with us. This is really good, and I truly appreciate it. Let's take a very short break, and we'll continue this conversation.
Okay.
Thank you, Brian. And to our audience and to our viewers, we'll be right back. Support for the American Business Podcast comes from Reddit. Do you know the biggest challenge nowadays for American small businesses? That is visibility. That's why we partner with Reddit for Business. Reddit has more than 400 million weekly visitors. Furthermore, Reddit is reliable. Reddit is the number one source for real reviews on products, services, and brands. There is a promotion going on. When you spend $500, you'll get $500 in ad credit from Reddit. True story. I am a Reddit user. Anytime I need feedback or review for a product or service, I go to Reddit. I get the real answers, real feedback from real people, from Reddit communities. Scan this QR code and sign up for Reddit advertising for your business. Get the visibility for your company, your products, and services. Scan the QR code and sign up today. Thank you for your support. Support for the American Business Podcast comes from Brother. From large companies to small offices, Brother has powerful printers and all-in-ones for your growing business. Scan the QR code and find the best printers for your needs. When you scan the QR code, you can see the entire collection, business office equipment collection of Brother USA, and pick the one that you like. You'll find printers, labels, toners, all-in-ones, and other office equipment available on Brother website when you scan the QR code. Scan the QR code and start shopping for Brother office equipment today. Thank you for your support. Support for the show comes from Yelp. You know, I've been talking to more than 100 business owners in the American Business Podcast. Do you know the biggest problem for small businesses nowadays? It is visibility. That is why you should sign up and list your business on Yelp for Business. I have the QR code on the screen, and when you scan the QR code, the form will show up on your screen and you can sign up on the registration form. It comes with free trial with no obligation. Make it easy for your customers to find you. Do you know there are more than 70 million customers visiting Yelp website looking for services from businesses just like yours? Restaurants, home services, professional services, and many other businesses are being searched on Yelp on daily basis. That's a great opportunity. If you list your business on Yelp, you'll be findable, searchable, and you'll be visible. When you are visible, when your customers are able to find you, you're in business. You can get opportunities, you can get leads, you can build a healthy and profitable pipeline. Consider Yelp for Business. Scan the QR code, sign up, and start your free trial. It comes with free trial. Very comfortable, no obligation. List your business and start getting the results, and enjoy the benefits of Yelp business. Thank you for your support. Support for the American Business Podcast comes from Invicta. Invicta is known for its stylish watches, both for men and women. Invicta is offering unisex watches as well. I have a confession. I am an Invicta fan and I've been using Invicta watches for many, many years. This one is 57 millimeter Invicta watch, automatic. Because it's black color, it goes well with my business outfit. And because it's automatic, I don't need batteries for my watch. It gets the energy by me just moving the watch from my wrist. So it creates energy and it can go pretty much non-stop. I have the QR code on the screen, and when you scan the QR code, you'll be able to see the Invicta watch collection. And you can pick the one that you like based on the color, style, and technology. Please scan the QR code, start shopping today, and join me using Invicta. I'm sure you'll like it. Thank you very much for your support. All right, we are back in the American Business Podcast. Let's continue our conversation in this episode. Well, have you had any role models? Have you had any mentors that you can tell us about?
Yeah, of course. I think it's been huge for, my personal development. When I look back to my last position in San Francisco as a employee before I turned into an entrepreneur, I was lucky to report to one of the founders of the business who had come out of the consulting world. So he had worked for Bain. And, Bain is famous for, having hyper smart people. And he was really good at building models, thinking through assumptions. But more importantly, he was just really good at learning things. And I think that helped me understand to never stop learning. That was a really good mentorship thing. And as a result, I've been a big believer in peer groups. So I've been a member of several different CEO groups, peer groups, entrepreneurial groups. So I get a lot of my mentorship from them. And I think it's important to recognize being an entrepreneur can be lonely. You cannot tell your team all the problems. So you need to tell people that are at your level, but even better if they're not part of your company, because they want you to succeed, but they're not vested in the politics or the other issues. So I like to get my mentorship that way from peer groups.
If there is one key career lesson that you learned the hard way, what would it be?
One key career lesson. I would say this is probably so I've been, in my eyes, like a true entrepreneur for the last 10 years, but I tried entrepreneurship a couple of years before that. And I remember being up, at 2 o'clock in the morning, trying to fix the grammar on my website, like that mattered, and I think that is probably the biggest lesson that I would want to impart to people is there's nothing more exciting than being an entrepreneur, but you don't have a business unless you have a customer. So focus on the important things. Don't do what I did and spend all your time on, should I put a comma here or a comma there on my website in the late hours? I should have focused on finding actual customers.
Well, sometimes in business, things are not going in our way. And
Yeah.
sometimes there are challenges and hardship. This is just natural part of being in business. From your point of view, how to stay motivated and inspired in times of challenges?
Yeah. I've been I think this is probably one of my best strengths of maybe being an entrepreneur is being able to take pain, right? So You have to endure a lot of pain. And I think entrepreneurship is, everyone feels like they can do it when there's an economic boom, but there's booms and bust and booms and bust. And the busts are where I think a lot of companies are started as well. But it's also very painful. And I've had customers try to get out of six-figure invoices and all sorts of issues and pain, and COVID and projects got canceled and everything in between. Um, so maybe I'll leave it at that, Kevin. Is if you really want to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to be ready for the pain and endure the pain, and know that all of your learnings and issues you've overcome compounds for you, and you can use that the next day.
Is there a book, a show, a movie that help you shape your career perspective?
Yeah, this might be a little funny, but the HBO show Silicon Valley was being filmed while I lived there, and it was just enough, just accurate enough, where as I watched the episodes, I thought, okay, that I know a guy like this, or I experienced something like this. So it's I think a really funny take, and it also, by making fun of the industry, it helps keep you in balance and not taking yourself too seriously. So I think that shapes my idea of work is, you know, things are serious enough. Try to laugh at yourself. Don't take it too seriously.
What is your biggest interest outside of work?
Yeah, that's easy. I'm a father of two young kids, and their interests are my interests. Whether it's karate, Cub Scouts, hula dancing, music. Uh, I'm really fortunate to spend time with them.
Yeah, this is lovely. If you had a chance to go back history, personally or historically, to what time period would you like to go back and why?
Yeah. Well, being that this is the American Business Podcast, I've been fascinated by the second half of the 1800s. I think there was so much change. Obviously, the Civil War, but right after the Civil War, you had railroads being built all across the country. You had oil exploration, kind of big business, but America wasn't quite the hegemon that it was. It was maybe a top 10 nation, but certainly not number one. So there's a lot of things that were just starting to take shape, a lot of potential, a lot of optimism, and it was kind of ripe for people that wanted to take risks. So I think that'd be a great period.
Yeah, this is a pretty entrepreneurial answer, and I love it. And it makes a lot of sense. So, like that time period, right in US, this just the industrialization starting. It's just beginning of the industrial revolution, and all these change coming up, right? That's fascinating. So, like being in that time and seeing how the things were changing is will be really exciting. Uh, I love your answer in that sense. Well, let's continue our conversation. What is the best and worst advice, career advice you ever received?
Ooh, good question. I think the best advice is ask for forgiveness instead of asking for permission. And especially when you're in larger companies, there's this mindset of don't mess it up, right? Don't stand out. The nail that sticks out gets hammered, right? Which is also kind of a concept of maybe Japanese culture. but I think it applies to big companies too. So I think that's terrible advice. I think you should be bold, go for it. Make good decisions. Um, and maybe so. I guess maybe I'm answering this with just the worst advice, but you know, for me personally, I had people advising me, "Hey, this entrepreneurship thing looks too risky. Are you sure? I don't think you should do it." But I did it anyway. And the only regret that I really have is I waited too long. I was already in my I think I was 35 when I officially got into entrepreneurship. So I'm 45 today. But if I could do it again, I would have done it at 25. I feel like if I could have had 20 years by now as an entrepreneur, it would have been even better.
In this episode, this is our 115 episode in the American Business Podcast, the voice of American business. Is there any question that you expected me to ask, but I didn't ask? I haven't asked.
Yeah, I would like to talk more about why nearshore is so interesting, how I got into it.
Okay, so let's talk about it. Why nearshore is interesting? How did you get into it? Also, as a bonus, I'll just split in the question a little bit more. And how does it different from other organizations in the industry?
Yeah, so what brought me into nearshoring was I was looking for software engineers that were on the same time zone, and that led me to Argentina. But I think what led me to stay and really devote my last decade and planning to the next decade to nearshoring is something that I think your audience would really get a lot of benefit from. And that is, on the surface, why people might nearshore is it's less expensive than having local workers, and it's the same time zone. But why I continue to stay is way more. We're lucky to live in America where it's relatively stable. You shared the inflation rate at the start of the show, and even during the 2021 to 2023 boom of inflation, it still was nothing like Venezuela or Argentina or places where it just gets out of control. Excuse me. So where I'm going with this, Kevin, is Latin America doesn't have the stable governments and stable life that we have in the US. So you have a population that has lived with volatility, chaos, things that are way beyond their control. So as a result, you have millions and millions, hundreds of millions of people that are resourceful, scrappy. They find creative solutions. They are humble, eager for work, and they have a lot of access to the same information and experiences. So I can't think of any entrepreneur that wouldn't want a labor force that's scrappy, hungry, creative, good problem solvers. So I urge you to um, look to Latin America as a way to grow your company.
Well, so we are starting a new practice in the American Business Podcast, and you are our first guest. And that is a question that we love to get from you. We'll take that question and we'll ask that question to our next guest, which will happen actually later today in the afternoon in US Eastern Time Zone. So, what question would you like us to ask to our next guest in the American Business Podcast?
I'm honored for the opportunity. I would love to find out if they could go back 5 years, what would be one thing that they would have done differently in their career or entrepreneurship journey?
Okay, we'll make sure to ask that question today. Well, also to our audience and listeners, well, if you like to get this answer, please stick around and we'll make sure to ask this question coming from Brian and we'll ask our next guest. All right, great. Well, do you have any career advice for the next generation business professionals?
Don't be afraid to be an entrepreneur much early. I think it gets easier and easier every year with all the technology tools, the information, AI. There's so much at your disposal. So I encourage you to go for it, be your own boss, and you're going to learn so much more, and you're going to bet on yourself, and no one's going to bet on yourself like you will.
I love it. I love this career advice. Well, we are in the end of 2025 and we are getting ready for 2026. New year, new you, new me, new everything, right? So, new hopes. Well, having said that, I have a question which makes sense this time of the year. What are your expectations and predictions for 2026?
Yeah, I think we're going to see a booming economy. I really believe that. Everyone wants it faster. So, people forget that the US is massive, and it's like an aircraft carrier, and trying to turn an aircraft carrier, takes a lot of time. So I believe in a lot of the actions that are being taken that are good for the economy. And everyone wanted it January 2025, but it takes time to do that. So I'm very optimistic, and I think there's going to be more private spending, which is very exciting.
Well, in this episode, do you have any questions or a question that you would like to ask me?
Yeah, funny enough, it's maybe similar to what you just asked me, but I'll ask.
Okay, you're gonna turn the tables.
Yeah. So your thoughts on 2026, especially about the economy, and if your prediction doesn't turn true, what would be the biggest reason why?
Well, the my expectation from New Year 2026 and my predictions also, I will say, and I agree with you from your point of view. It's gonna be a better economy in terms of economic activities, business wise. We as in business professionals, we'll all see that. And I also agree with what you just mentioned. Things have takes time a little bit economically, and just to support your point, US is a massive economy and it's a mixed economy. It's actually dynamic at the same time. So sometimes one industry goes down, other one goes up. So this dynamic always the case. Is always the case. So we'll also see it in the new year. I have no doubt. We're gonna see more AI related developments moving forward. So AI will be more adopted in business. And when I say business, I'm mostly referring to small and mid-sized businesses, which is the majority of U.S. economy, the backbone of U.S. economy. That's what I'm thinking. And I'm predicting, I must say. So we'll see. So we'll have the same episode end of next year, and then we'll see which ones are actually making sense or not. Yeah, and to also follow up your question, if that didn't happen, we'll see some industries will go down, some of them will go up. So, and part of it is kind of luck too. I mean, we have to be also lucky, right? So we cannot be operating every single industry. I mean, we may be having a couple of different businesses as entrepreneurs or business professionals, but we cannot be in every single industry. So we'll see how lucky we are. Also, it's also sort of luck. Also, kind of, we have to also think about the times. Times are changing, right? So the spirit of times are also changing, so zeitgeist, right, as they call it. So we'll see how that spirit of times will work too. However, for the US, the economy is massive, it's dynamic, it's always promising, and there is always a way to improve and benefit out of it. If it doesn't work one way, to your point, I'm sure there is a way to pivot and benefit from another industry that's actually rising in this dynamic economy. So one goes down, one goes up. So we need to see these updates and developments and try to adapt to change and pivot. So to your point, just we need to be brave, we need to be flexible, we need to be open-minded, keep learning, get the information, and then adapt. That's just what it takes. That's what I'm hoping, expecting, and predicting for about 2026. So we shall see. Well, okay, great. For those who like to continue this conversation with you, so any of our audience listeners, if they like to continue this conversation, they like to be in touch with you, what is the best way for them to contact you and learn about your organization?
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. We have conversations all the time, just educating people, giving them more background, how it could work with their company. My website is plugg.tech, T-E-C-H, plug.tech. And emailing Brian at plug.tech it'll come right to me, and I'll be happy to help.
Brian Sampson, thank you so much for being with us in your busy schedule. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yes, thank you. I wish you and your family a happy holiday season and happy New Year. It's coming up. So thank you so much for being with us. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you. Same to you.
To our audience and to our listeners, we'll be right back after a short break. Support for the American Business Podcast comes from DocuSign. DocuSign is the latest cloud-based digital and electronic signature management software system. You can manage your vendor contracts, supplier contracts, customer contracts, NDAs, and any type of legal and commercial documents and signatures digitally on DocuSign. DocuSign is cloud-based. It means you don't have to install any of your documents, keep any of your documents on your laptop or on your mobile device. Furthermore, DocuSign is equipped with intelligent agreement management capabilities, and it helps you automate and digitize your contracts, vendor contracts, and customer contracts quickly. It is modern, it is secure, and there are more than 1 billion users using DocuSign. True story. I use DocuSign regularly for vendor and customer contracts, and it works very smooth. Highly recommended. You see the QR code on the screen, scan the QR code, it'll take you to the sign up page, fill up the form, join the DocuSign community, and digitize and automate your contracts and documents right now, just like I do on daily basis. QR code on the screen, scan it, and enjoy the benefits of DocuSign starting today. Thank you very much. Support for the American Business Podcast comes from Reddit. Do you know the biggest challenge nowadays for American small businesses? That is visibility. That's why we partner with Reddit for Business. There are more than 440 million visitors weekly on Reddit. Furthermore, Reddit is reliable, and millions of users are going to Reddit to get the real feedback from real people. It is the number one source for real reviews on products, services, and brands. There is a promotion going on that I'd like you to consider and take advantage of. When you spend $500 on Reddit for advertising, you'll get $500 in advertising credit. True story. I am a Reddit user, and anytime I like to have feedback or review for a product or service, I go to Reddit and I talk to Reddit communities. I get the real feedback and real review from real people and real communities. Scan this QR code and sign up for Reddit advertising. Get the visibility for your company, for your products and services on Reddit with Reddit advertising. Reach people ready to buy your products and services with Reddit advertising. Scan the QR code and sign up today. Thank you for your support. Support for the American Business Podcast comes from Opus Virtual Offices. Opus is offering you more than 600 different locations in the US. It is $99 a month. This includes prestigious business address, professional live call answering, personalized call transferring, business phone number, local phone number, professional mail services, voicemail converted to email. I have the QR code on the screen. You can sign up for Opus today. Opus is offering you hundreds of locations in the US that you can pick, any of them that you like. And you can start having your virtual office today. Please scan the QR code and start using Opus virtual offices today. Thank you for your support. Support for the American Business Podcast comes from Gemini Trust. Gemini makes crypto simple. Find, trade, and buy over 70 different coins, including Bitcoin and Solana, on the best cryptocurrency platform. Gemini Trust. Start trading crypto here. I have the QR code on the screen. You can scan the QR code and start signing up today. Because they have a great customer service, you can reach out to them and get assistance 24/7. Scan the QR code and start trading crypto on Gemini. Thank you for your support. Support for the American Business Podcast comes from Anywhere Apps by Kirk Consulting, now Cherry Baker. It is time to digitize and automate your business processes. Anywhere Apps designed for small and mid-sized companies as well as enterprise-level companies to help you digitize and automate your business processes. Today, I'd like to talk about one of the Anywhere apps that's very popular in the US. It is called Nonprofit Management Anywhere. If you are a nonprofit and you like to manage your donations, volunteers, fundraising events, your grants, and other documents for compliance and operational purposes, consider Nonprofit Management Anywhere. It is a completely cloud service. You can start using it today with no need for local installation on your server or on your local laptop and computers. It is user-friendly and it's easy to deploy, and you can start using it today. I have the QR code on the screen. You can scan the QR code and you can learn more about Anywhere apps, including Nonprofit Management Anywhere. Well, there is more. If you'd like to talk to me directly about Anywhere apps, you can just send me an email directly, kevin@kirkconsulting.com. Anywhere apps are modern, they are easy to use, they are affordable, practical, and more importantly, that's designed for you to help you digitize and automate your business processes. Scan the QR code or just send me a direct email, kevin@kirkconsulting.com. Thank you for your support. We are back in the American Business Podcast. If you'd like to be a guest in the American Business Podcast, please send us an email, americanbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to advertise, if you'd like to be a sponsor in the American Business Podcast, please also send us an email, americanbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. I also like to invite you to our website, americanpodcast.tv, for you to learn more about the American Business Podcast, the voice of American business. And you can also see our coming schedule, our guests, as well as subjects that we will be covering. If you haven't done so, please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. We are growing with your help and support. We have more than 120,000 YouTube subscribers, close to 1 million views in less than a year. Thank you so much for your support. Please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. This is our QR code right here. When you scan this, it'll take you to our YouTube page and you can subscribe. And if you are feeling more generous, please leave your comments, your thoughts as well with us in the American Business Podcast. We'll truly appreciate your support and your subscription, your comments, and your supports. That's a huge help, and we truly appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank you for your time and thank you for your interest. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the coming the American Business Podcast episodes. The American Business Podcast is the voice of American business. Thank you very much.